I'm curious about how you grew to almost 36,000 followers on X. What's your take now that you're like officially a New Yorker?
One time also someone asked me, is there anyone like wealthy in Argentina? Or is everyone is poor? My impression is that everyone is poor. And I was like,
Hello, you've reached Taste, the podcast that sweetens up the blockchain and crypto-powered new internet, leaving a great taste in your mouth afterwards. This is Kelly, your host. I serve tasty conversations with seriously on-chain builders, innovators, and thought leaders every single week. Hola, hola! This week we have Abril Zuki, devrel at Abstract Chain. If you're in any way plugged into crypto Twitter, she will have popped up on your feed. Born and raised in Argentina, Abril just got her O1 and moved to her dream city, New York. We kick off the conversation with her story, growing up in Argentina, how she fell into tech and specifically devrel as a career in crypto. We also talk about her life as a devrel, even debunking some myths along the way. We also touch on how she grew to almost 36k followers on Twitter and what it was like getting thrown into the deep end with learning English. Lastly, of course, we get super spicy and yap a little bit about dating, love, and the female scene in crypto. Provecho. Hola, hola.
hola,
Okay.
hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Vos, boluda?
Boluda, ¿qué te pasa, boluda? Yes, I'm very good. I don't know, should we talk Spanish? Should we talk English?
I mean, I wish there was a live audience here so we could ask them, but personally,
Right.
I would love to talk Spanish because I think the Argentinian Spanish accent is the most sexiest of all. But yeah, I mean, this is an English pod, unfortunately, so we'll continue. I actually want to start by setting the scene here for listeners because I met you in Buenos Aires this year, just like randomly. I think someone like tagged me. No, I saw your asado. You were like, I'm going to throw an asado. And I'm like, asado? I'm there. And then we met at Oli, which is like one of the best cafes in Buenos Aires. And we broke bread. That is, by bread, I mean a media luna, which is the
Yes.
best pastry
Oh
in
my
the
God,
world.
I miss it.
And it was glorious. So yeah, honestly, my first impression was like, I think I told you then, I was like, you belong in New York. And I was like, what is this girl doing strutting through the streets of Buenos Aires? She like clearly belongs in New
I'm a
York.
Manhattan girly. Probably my old soul lived in New York or was a New Yorker.
I love that. Your background, well, like your kind of like ethnicity is also Italian, right?
Yes, so my grandmother, she's Italian, and maybe my grandfather as well, because I have my mom's last name. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm like 60% Italian for sure. I actually did my 23andMe test, so I'm waiting for the results.
Ooh, okay. I'm
I don't
excited
know.
to, I can't wait to see. Cool. All right, let's kick it off. I want to know about you. I mean, I know you. I'm sure a lot of people know, what you do, what you believe in, but also, I think it's important. Like, your story is a really interesting and like moving one. So tell me about, kind of who is Abril. Tell me about your childhood, your life growing up, even your trauma if you want. But, if you want to keep things light, you can skip on that. Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Argentina in a very, I would say, like low middle class neighborhood in the suburbs of Buenos Aires. So this was in 1 hour away from Buenos Aires. And I grew up mostly with my grandmother because my mom, I never met my dad. My mom got me when she was 22. So she was really, really young. And so she needed to work to, help me economically and help herself. So that's why I couldn't spend too much time with her, and I spent more time with my grandma. And then I became super emotionally attached to my grandma. It was insane. Like, the fact that I couldn't even leave the house if my grandma was not coming with me is insane. Like, insane. I didn't really have a good relationship with my mom, so I didn't like to live in my house because of that. And because, like, in my family, it was, like, always something going on, and, like, I don't know if you went to Italy, but Italians and Argentinians come from Italians, and they are super, how can I say, like, in my house, they were not talking, they were screaming, they were yelling, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I grew up like that. I'm honestly pretty much like that now. I even like move my hands a lot when I talk. But yeah, I grew up like very, humble and stuff like that, and I didn't have too much luxuries, although I had my grandma supporting me a lot during my childhood. She will buy me everything that she can, and like, all of these things really, like, she put an incredible effort. Also, my grandma was like a really strong woman who escaped from the World War II from Italy to Argentina, had 11 children. 11.
Holy shit.
Oh my God. 11 children. And then she raised me. So 12 children, basically. And so, yeah, that's basically my summarize of my childhood.
Damn. Do you think, I mean, obviously you're, very independent and ambitious. Also, you grew up in a household of like very independent, ambitious women. Like that definitely, I think, do you think that would have added to kind of like who you are today? Perhaps fire to the fuel?
I think so, because like I always saw my grandma as my source of inspiration. I always saw her like a super strong woman. She worked until she was 73 years old. And like it was insane for me to see that such a mature woman was still trying to get shit done, when she should be retired. I mean, she was retired, but she wanted to keep working and always doing something for their kids, even though they're adults, they're grown-ass men, grown-ass women, but she always wanted to keep working, and that's kind of like my source of motivation. But I will say also, like, the fact that I was not really happy living in my house gave me so much motivation on what I do today that it was like both sides, I will say.
That makes sense. I'm sure she's very proud of you. And I remember when we were like hanging out, like you went to visit them every weekend, which is like so, so nice. Yeah. And I'm sure you miss them, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. And at the end of the day, yeah, what has to be done has to be done. So yeah, I'm actually, I don't know why I'm very proud of, like, I don't know, proud of you, but I'm like very proud to know you, like someone who
Me too.
has been through so much and also like done so much, right? I did want to ask, at age 16, I don't know, I just picked a random number. Where did you see yourself in 10 years? Or like maybe even, you're 21, right? Mm-hmm. Where did you see yourself at 21? Did you imagine you'd be, in New York or?
No. So when I was 16, I actually wanted to be something completely different, which I wanted to be a lawyer. But then I still believe that I will be a good lawyer, to be honest. But, like how the economy in Argentina is super fucked up still. At that moment was even like worse. And so for me it was kind of like useless to be like spending 5 years studying a career, get a degree, and then make 2 pesos per month, So I was like, I would say I've been always super self-aware of things, how things work, because I didn't want that for my life. So I was 16, I wanted that. At the same time, I was like, okay, I'm also really interested on technology and all of that, and I feel like that's the future, definitely. And that is something that will bring me to a better place in terms of economy, moving alone, by myself, having... Sorry, the sound of the background. This is New York City.
I can tell you're in New York. No, it's completely fine.
I got used to this. Well, and so like I definitely saw myself being successful and having a better life. And I, when I visualized that, I was like, okay, what can I do to achieve that? And so that's when I was like, okay, fuck being a lawyer. I would just get into tech, study how to code, get into the world, like actually building something and like reaching out to people who can help me to get a job, and study English. So when I started to do that, then I could see myself in a better position for sure. I will never expect that at 21 I will be living in New York City and got a one visa and all of these things. This is kind of crazy, like how fast my career and my life scale thanks to like this industry and like the things I've done. Yeah. But I did see myself as someone who will be in a better position.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I mean, like, what's the point trying to uphold the law in a country that like blatantly doesn't, even respect the rule of the law, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you did a very practical thing, and you kind of like, I feel like a lot of people just do things because of the prestige or because of certain like societal, ideas or preconceptions around it, but you're like, nah, fuck that. I can be a cool tech girl. Like, I can be whatever I want, right? That's
it's all about confidence.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. And on the topic of your career, congratulations. Big news yesterday. I think it's kind of perfect timing for this pod. Abstract chain. Yes. Tell us everything. How did you, get in touch with the team, or have you been like eyeing it? I know you've been into like consumer very, deeply for a while, so it makes complete sense, but tell me more. Very exciting.
Yes, so I just joined this week. I joined actually in Labor Day, and they were like, oh, you can take the day off, and I was like, no, I'm not, this is not for me. Founder mode, No, but Abstract is really cool. I met the CTO. I met the CTO because he wanted some devrel advice, and he reached me out on Twitter being like, hey, let's get some advice for devrel. And then we started to chat, and I felt super excited and bullish about what we're doing, which is a TLDR. It's a L2 on CK Sync. So we are CK Stack, but it's also like incubated by Budgie Penguins. So we are like working with the team, and like basically we're contributing to something that is basically focusing for consumer apps. And so I'm pretty excited to, be part again of something that is meant to be for millions of people, because that's the whole point of crypto. And I think right now we're having a hard time achieving it, which is bringing more apps. And we should not call it only consumer apps, because every app should be consumer. But that's what we're trying to do, and we have really cracked people working towards that. So I'm part of that. I'm doing devrel there. I'm, building up a builder ecosystem from scratch is definitely hard, but it's really fun, and like helping to improve that experience. And it's all about, user developer experience, and also how you kind of build these relationships with the legit builders that are in your chain. So yeah, I'm doing that, and I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, cracked team. I love Jared. I love Saigar.
Jared is really cool.
I'm not sure if that's how I pronounce Saigar. Is that right?
Saigar. Yeah. I used to say cigar because
I love it.
Spanish,
Yeah. Did you tell him that? Do you still call him cigar? It kind of works. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's an amazing team, and when there's like an amazing team, the project will benefit for sure. So I'm very excited to see what you guys cook. Yeah, very lucky to have you. Okay, I want to talk about Argentina. The best country in the world. Biased, but I still I would move there in a heartbeat if it had everything that New York had.
I know.
Yeah.
It will happen eventually. It will happen.
Were you at Crecimiento?
I was there for 2 weeks, and the first week was completely a mess, because I was catching up with friends that I haven't seen in a while, family, then paperwork for my visa, and then I went to Crecimiento for a few days, but not really the whole event. I would like to, but no, really super busy month. But I saw the energy in the event of everyone, even non-local people, locals. It was incredible. Argentina has an actual use case for crypto, so Crecimiento was the bubble, the niche of the people who are actually building towards something valuable. And so that was really cool to see and to experiment the energy. It's super different from like the regular conference, crypto conference, that is just like, okay, let's talk to the same 100 people, let's party every night, and that's all about it, and like burn money in sponsoring events.
Yeah.
It was different from that. So
Argentina is very special, right? I feel like builders there are more hungry. And it's not just because, like, I feel like if you're building somewhere with, you know, a comfy financial system that has worked to some extent, you're not hungry. You're not hungry to make it work, to build your product, to get funded, and to, like, actually change the way things are. Whereas Argentina needs crypto. It's definitely one of the few places that, you need it. And I saw something about Milei putting blockchain into the curriculum. Am I right?
I think the approach that Milei is taking is definitely being like crypto friendly. It's not like he's gonna be like restricting crypto or like regulating it. I'm not really sure though, but I think he's pretty crypto friendly. So that's good. That's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I hope I don't get cancelled, but big fan of Milei, so maybe it will get cancelled in any case.
We don't care. I mean, I voted him.
We're out there.
Trump, and I have my own reasons. So
yeah, love it. Okay, we're on the same page then. I have here misconceptions about Argentina. I'm not sure exactly what these might be. Maybe like, you know, Argentina is dangerous, nothing works, like money doesn't work. Like on my YouTube videos, okay, I have like, it's very embarrassing, but I do vlogs, and people are like, how do you pay for stuff? You know, what's the inflation like? What are like the top things that you hear from people or that people ask you about Argentina that make you kind of like roll your eyes and you know, you have the same spiel?
I would say a lot of people ask me, oh my God, sometimes, especially in the US, people will ask me, oh, do you have like, you know, this XYZ thing that is like super normal? Like once someone asked me if we have Wi-Fi.
No.
I swear I'm not kidding. And I was like, yes, we do. Like, what the fuck? And like things like that is kind of like, just one time also someone asked me, is there anyone like wealthy in Argentina, or is everyone is poor? My impression is that everyone is poor. And I was like, we have a lot of wealthy people, you know, and like of course in the countries, whatever, that's like something that makes me roll my eyes, because I think, but you know what, I kind of get it though, because if you never visited the country and you always hear in the news like, oh, Argentina 50% poverty, inflation, this and this and this, and crime, of course the news will sell you an image that is not actually accurate, and you will kind of like figure that, and you will never visit.
100%.
Because you will be scared, and so like of course then you will like basically die with that. Yeah, but I would say it's not like that. You know, you love Argentina because it's beautiful. It's way more secure than other Latam countries. It's super fun. So many people put so much effort into coffee shop designs, restaurants, high quality things. Like everything that is local is, except the clothes, is high quality. Like all the restaurants, food, everything. And so yeah, definitely is not like the news will try to sell you Argentina.
Yeah, to some extent I'm like, keep thinking that like it's an amazing country. We don't really need people who don't like actually want to open their minds coming in and like, you know, enjoying all the fruits. But yeah, I feel like the news has kind of ruined people, because people seem to think that they know every inch and corner of the world just by what they see on the internet. And it's super sad, I guess. It's super like, maybe not sad, it's like very disappointing. I am disappointed in humanity. At the same time, I know not everyone has the luxury of traveling like, you know, maybe you and I. So yeah, not gonna roast them to shreds, but yeah, definitely. I wish people would open their eyes a little more.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Speaking of traveling, you are in New York now, and it's your home. You've got your setup, like I've seen your monitor setup. You call it home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why New York? And is it like once you've like settled in, is it like everything that you dreamed of and more? You know, like what's your take now that you're like officially a New Yorker?
I think definitely New York has like two faces, which is like there's a lot of crazy people here, and you need to be really careful of what's going on in the streets, especially as a woman.
Yeah.
At the same time, I feel like, yes, first of all, living in any other city that is not my home country or city is just really cool for me because I always wanted to get out of my comfort zone and literally being in a new place, learning new things, language, cultures, and New York has so many people from everywhere in the world. So I feel like experiencing that is really cool. Like I go to the street and there's something going on always. Always is something happening. And I love the lifestyle here. Of course, I haven't experienced the winter. I feel like everyone lives in the winter. So I'm pretty scared of that, but I will just be cozy in my studio.
Yeah.
Working,
And your coats.
more productive. Yeah.
Yeah. Winter fashion. I feel like I've seen you in many coats. I don't know why.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Also, this next week, no, actually, tomorrow, it will be New York Fashion Week.
Are you going?
I'm gonna try to get into it's difficult, but I'm gonna try to get into some of the events for sure.
Wow. Just say you're a crypto model. So New York, you're there right now. Is it a final destination for you, or do you think it's just a stop in the road to where you eventually want to end up? Or maybe it's too early?
I will just let it happen. I always say that, like, I don't force things. I'm like, the universe will, this will sound like super, whatever. But it's true, the universe will kind of like lead me to where I belong at the end of the day. And so, like, maybe I belong to New York, maybe I belong to Argentina, and sometime I will come back. Who knows? In the meantime, I think I'm very happy here, and yeah, I would love to explore more cities in the US for sure, like California, like LA, San Francisco, Miami, I don't know, some of the bigger cities, Austin.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Austin. I recently saw a tweet of yours that was like, maybe I should go back to SF to date. Something like that. What's your take on SF versus New York? And maybe you can focus specifically on like the pool.
Yeah, I would say SF is definitely like way more men than women. Here in New York is way more women than men. And it's like SF is like, think about getting into a computer science class but in a city. That's how I feel. Like everyone is in tech. Everyone is like hustling hard for something, like working a startup or like building a startup, and investors and all of this like super Silicon Valley energy. Of course, I haven't spent that much time. I feel like in total I spent probably 3 weeks, but I love the energy. But definitely is like a way more boring kind of place, depending on like what you like to do. But you don't have too much nightlife or the things that you might have in New York City. In New York you just have everything, and everything is mostly centralized in San Francisco. In New York I feel like it's more art, fashion, finance, crypto, everything is here. Every single industry you want to be in, it will be here. And San Francisco is more centralized to tech for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I have heard there is a drought of females in San Francisco. So yeah, I can see the allure for some girls, maybe if they're like in hunting mode. Okay, I'm curious about how you grew to almost 36,000 followers on X. Like, what's the secret sauce? And tell us a bit about how you became one of the most important crypto women in the space on X.
Well, it's good to hear that. So at first, I grew my account. This was kind of crazy because I created my account in 2021. And I remember I was just like posting, because at that time I was still learning a lot about Solidity development and Web3 and all of these things. So I always kind of like to share my knowledge on things, but also learn in public. I think it's like a very powerful thing to do. Building in public and learning in public is really powerful. So I was just sharing like in Spanish, because at that time I didn't speak English. I was sharing the resources in Spanish on how to learn how to code in like a Web3, environment, like writing smart contracts, solidity, all of these things. And because the lack of resources in Spanish, I feel like I gained so many followers. Like actually, I had tweets that were like 5K likes, like 5K, wow. 6K. Sorry. It's actually crazy. It's actually crazy the fact that in Spanish I will get way more engagement than in English, but it makes sense because there's no one really like creating intentionally content in Spanish like that. And so it was an unfair advantage. And the first 2 months I got to a 18K, I will say, in 2 months.
Holy shit. That is amazing. And where did you learn how to build in like Web3?
Just internet, like I feel like internet is just like a huge book of like an encyclopedia of information for free. You can access to whatever you want to learn. Like think about it is crazy to think about it, because before, many years ago, people will need to actually buy encyclopedias and like source of information like in a physical way, or go to school and all of these things. And of course you still need to go to school, but if you want to kind of like learn something in a self-taught way like me, you can learn math today. You can start literally learning complex mathematical concepts today. You can learn CK, you can learn Solidity, you can learn JavaScript, and you can start building in your free time. And so I feel like that was like the best way to do it. I didn't even pay any coding bootcamp, any school of any type. I just watch a lot of YouTube videos and build, like practice.
Wow. And you said also you didn't speak English in 2021?
No, I didn't.
That's fucking wild.
I didn't.
That's fucking wild. How did you learn? Who was your teacher? Sex and the City?
Maybe.
It's actually a good way to learn.
Actually, shows and movies and music helps you a lot, but then you actually need to face, like, there's something called breaking the ice when speaking another language, because you can understand everything, and then when you speak it, you're like, oh, wow, I will sound stupid, so I like, you press yourself, Yes. That was happening to me at first, but then I slowly broke the ice, and, I was dating an American guy, I will not lie, like, that helped me a lot. Of course, that was not the only factor. I also started to work in an American company at the same time. And so every day was just surrounded by people, but my natives. So I had American coworkers who were in the meetings speaking English all the time. And then my boyfriend at the time was speaking English to me because he didn't speak Spanish. So I would have to force myself to learn. And so, yes, I did that, but not teacher, not anything. Just literally facing it and kind of switching my brain to the language. It's an actual powerful thing to do.
That's awesome. I mean, you totally immersed yourself with love, with work, with entertainment. That's amazing. Right now, you're speaking to me, I would say even better than some natives. No shade, but yeah. When you started working with the American company, was that a devrel role, or what were kind of your first touch points with crypto? I guess we can go a little further back. We just talked about how you grew your channel. Curious how you fell into the intersection of devrel, but for blockchain.
My first crypto job was basically a developer job. So I was writing smart contracts for a project that was basically doing a marketplace of NFTs, whatever, because at that time NFTs was a super big thing. But I was just contributing to a bunch of projects because, at first it's kind of hard to get your first job ever. And in crypto it's okay, people require you to have certain knowledge. And so I was just, contributing to some projects, doing some developer stuff with Solidity, and then I worked for 2 years as a proper developer. And then I had the interest because I was already kind of sharing and educating people on that on Twitter just for fun. Someone reached me out being oh, you should be a developer advocate. You will be amazing. And I didn't know what the fuck was that. I was what the hell is this? And I kind of did the research. And then I met Nader from Eigenlayer. He's like the goat, the Messi of devrel.
Literally.
Yes, and when I saw his work and all of the things that he was doing, I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. I reached out to him like in DevCon in 2022. I remember, like, out of nothing, I was like, hey, can you help me to find a job in devrel?
I love it.
And he was like, and he referred me to this company. I worked for that company afterwards.
Holy shit. Yeah. Go you. Okay. And here you are working for one of the most correct companies.
For him being so, like this, he's the kind of person who will offer you help without expecting anything back. I don't know you, but I will help you anyway because you're like reaching me out, asking me for help in a job. I really appreciate people like that.
Yeah, no, he's super nice. I was wondering, I think back when I had my first pod, I reached out to him. He had no idea who I was, but he still jumped on. I don't know how he does it. Like, really, like all of his DMs, he would reply to every single person and make sure that he follows up on how he's going to help them. And I feel like that really is what a devrel is anyway. Like someone who helps, I guess in a devrel's case, like helps with, developer experience without expecting anything, right? I mean, on that topic, I do have a few myths that I want you to debunk, right? First, devrel myth that I thought of is, do you need to have a massive following? Because I think some people view this role as like a developer, like influencer in some way.
No, I don't think so. I actually meet a lot of people because like it depends for your goals of the company. If you want to improve the developer experience, having followers will not help. You just need to write documentation, do SDKs and developer tools to improve, let's make it more like seamless experience for the developers that are getting on board in your chain or protocol. And so like, why will the followers matter here? But if you want to also have some kind of growth and being like, okay, we need to help the developer experience, like help the developers to have a good experience while they're building, but we need to also onboard these developers, like where they're coming from, how we can get them. I would say followers can really help there when you want to kind of like grow the builder ecosystem. But I would say yes, of course, followers did help me in many things. I would just say when people trust you, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. It's also the work that you do. So I can have like 200K, but if people are not trusting me, why will that matter? That's my take on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. I think there's also like in the scope of work of a devrel, there's a lot, right? Obviously it does help, but there's so many more things, which brings me to my next myth is that devrel is glorified marketing and sales for, I guess, tech products. Myth or?
I think it's correct.
Yeah?
I think it's definitely correct. And most people say it's also technical BD, technical sales. I would say it probably is, but the fact that we also help the experience when, like the engineers are writing the code, we do what the engineers don't want to do, which is like all the technical docs, SDKs, or like these things that are more focused for, like customer experience, kind of. The engineers just want to write code. devrel is kind of like in the middle of that, like, okay, let's socialize a little bit, let's help you, let's get our hands dirty and like write some doc, how I will define it.
Nice. They're like the cool engineers. No shade, no shade. Okay, and my third is that, okay, this is definitely a myth, but devrel has no impact. Can you maybe talk about, this is not an interview. I feel like I'm like interviewing you for a job, but no, like, I actually am curious about like the types of impact that different types of devrel roles can have on a company. You talked about growth. You talked about DevX. There is so much more to this role. Maybe you can share a little bit about like where you personally love, making impact in a company. I think that would be great.
I feel like I see there's two kind of devrels. There's someone who will love to take over more like the developer experience side, and maybe their ultimate goal is to become a CTO or a technical leader. And then there's people like me that are public facing. I like to go to do a workshop, to do a speech in a conference, to have a, you know, kind of like educational content going on with videos, which by the way, we are releasing a lot of cool shit with Abstract. They just send me like a camera, microphone, everything to start making cool videos. So that's the work that I like to do, and the impact that I can have is literally just gain traction and get more developers interested on your content and all of that. So like both sides kind of have their own impact. One is literally have like the best fucking experience that a developer can have when building, and the other one is educational content, like traction. Is more like marketing for developers.
Yeah. I think that's really important, especially like for our industry, because a lot of the like concepts are really hard. Like marketing is hard enough, like without devrel, ELI5ing everything, you know, for different levels as well, and GMI if you don't have a good devrel, folks. So, okay, finish the sentence for me. You should not choose a devrel career if you blank.
What does that mean?
If someone's like, oh, I want to be devrel, what would you say is like the one thing, like if they don't like this thing, they shouldn't choose this career path?
If you don't like to be social, because yes, because like engineers are most of the times are anti-socials. They want to be in home coding and not really interacting with many people or having conversations, and devrel needs to be there helping developers. They will reach you out, and Telegram being like, hey, can you help me with this SDK, with this issue, this is not running, this is XYZ thing. And so you will have to be there talking to people, talking to developers. And so if you don't like that, then write code and that's it. And you will only have to talk to your team, but not with, you know, like if you go to hackathons, it's even way more overwhelming, you know, because there's so many people that will come to ask you questions at what they can build, facing problems, etc.
Oh, shit's going down.
Yeah, the police is always like going around this neighborhood. But anyway. Yeah, that's like the main thing that I will say. It would be like, then are you sure you want to be devrel? You will not have a great time.
Yeah, you'll be miserable. Cool. All right, let's wrap up the hinged portion. I feel like all of this is quite useful, and generally I like to be quite unuseful, but I want to get a bit spicy, a bit unhinged. I want to start, Abril. What is your biggest boy ick? What's one thing, if a guy does this thing, you're like, I cannot go near you, like even 5 meters.
I feel like if a guy is literally just not respecting me, like for example, I went to many of these events where, like, you know, guys, developer events or tech crypto conferences, guys will come to approach to me in a very weird way that will not respect me as a woman, and I will say like, I know you're trying to flirt with me, but you don't know how to, you know, you're kind of autistic. That's the biggest ick. Yes,
I love that.
And then, for example, another thing is that when they're not gentlemen. Let's say I go on a date with someone and then they are not really like treating me as they should be, because like men used to be super gentlemen with women, and there's still a lot of men like that, but the ones that are very like, oh, do your thing, like whatever, and you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, I just don't like the disrespectful things, because I think I'm very respectful to everyone around me, and if I'm dating you, I will be respectful.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest ick. But also, you know, like, it's just in general, when someone is very womanizer, super womanizer, and you can see that the guy is behind every single woman ever. It's like, okay, I don't know. This is like red flag.
Yeah. Love Argentina, but I don't mean to call the guys out there. I have seen that. I have seen this. It's a trait.
Yeah, but
except Messi.
You know what? I'm in New York right now, and I feel like dating in New York sucks.
Really?
Yes.
What's the tea?
It's just literally guys will. So you will go on a first date with a guy. Everything will go great, and you're like, wow, we actually connected a lot. then the guy will ghost you completely. Completely. And you are like, there's like lack of communication with American men. Lack of communication. They will not communicate. They will not be like, you know what? You had a great time. I didn't. So like, I think we should stop seeing each other. But they don't do that. They just ghost you completely. And then they have a lot of options here. So what's happening is that women are dating the 10% of the best men in New York, right?
Yeah.
And men have so many options that they will be like, they will meet you and they will be like, oh, you're good, but maybe next door there's a better one, right?
No.
There's so many. So that's my take. It's not about, like, not only in Argentina. I thought, in Argentina guys are kind of womanizer. Actually, not really. It's about in which stage of their life are they in. And it doesn't matter the age, though. They can be like 40, they can be 35, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Damn. I heard New York is not the place to like date and like find the love of your life. I feel like everyone who...
You have fun here.
Yeah, you have fun and then you move to like a city like Austin or something and you like want to settle down there because it's quite nice. Okay, so I think this question should come next. This is like the burning question, I feel like, on every single one of your reply guys' minds. What's your type? And let's just stop there. Like, what's your type? What are you looking for?
I feel like, so physically speaking, or...
Sure, paint the picture for me. Like, whole package.
I love white guys, for some reason. I love white guys. I also like foreigners, so like it's fun for me to date someone out of my culture because I think I learn a lot and I get to teach him my culture as well, which is really fun because I love my the Argentinian culture. And so it's kind of fun to date someone out of your comfort zone or your language. And I love white guys and I love guys that are very passionate about what they're doing in their job. I always been dating tech bros. Just because tech bros are actually really passionate about what they're building. If they're building a startup, they will be like hustling hard, grinding mode. And I love that. I love the energy. And I love the fact that a man can be working towards a purpose to ultimately give an amazing life to his future wife and kids. So that's like what I'm looking for. Someone who can actually commit to that. Commit to give me a beautiful life while I'm also working, I'm also going to pursue a dream or, goals, but also he's like really there being a man, an actual man. I like the man that you don't need to teach them how to be a man.
Yeah, it's like that scene in, I think it's like Crazy Rich Asians. She's like, I don't know, like it's not my responsibility to make you a man.
Yeah, no, really. And I feel like there's so many guys that nowadays, they're like, kind of, they want to be chased. And like, this should not be like that.
Yeah, this is so bizarre. This whole, like, the way that men have evolved is so bizarre to me. I cannot comprehend it. Like, what is going on with the testosterone levels in our... Is it the food? If it is, then, I don't know, maybe...
Dating
the suppliers.
Dating apps. Modern dating and hooking up culture have ruined a lot of people's minds and dating experiences.
For sure. I feel like, I have met few people who have found it easier to like date and like find the love of their lives through dating apps, but I feel like there's been more harm done than good. So, yeah.
I uninstall all my dating apps. I don't
really? How many years ago?
This week.
Okay, but it's felt like years, right?
No. I do that all the time, though. I install dating apps, I uninstall them, I install again. But this time it's like for real.
Yeah, that's what they all say, Abril. Okay, I'm gonna flip it around. We know what you want. But when people date you, what are they getting? I mean, I know they're getting the hottest... Okay, I'm going to let you answer this because, yeah, What are men getting? Because I think you posted something funny about Latina girls. And I found it really hilarious, but real talk.
Yeah. So, I don't know, ask my ex. Ask my ex, right? I think I'm a very self-made woman, but also really demanding. So I will
Ooh.
demand, but not in the way that material things.
Yeah.
I'm very demanding of like love and attention and just being there for me. I think like I have really high standards, but they will get someone who is also very, very emotionally. I'm very emotional. I will get kind of emotionally attached a little bit if I really like someone. So they can get someone who is like, I will do everything for my partner. I'm very like, I believe in romance and I love it. I love being in love. And I feel like that's the good thing of, having a relationship is like actually trusting the intentions of the other person. And I think I have good intentions always. I try to have good intentions with the people I meet because we just have one life, and wasting your life or time with people who doesn't add any value is like useless. They're getting from. And also kind of like a little bit of toxicity.
Oh, good. Oh, good. You gotta have a bit of spice there. Can't be too bland. Okay, that's a very honest answer. I appreciate it. Okay, this is kind of a spicy question. I'm gonna move away from the love, the romance. I think the reason we're friends is because, okay, maybe I'm like talking myself up. I'm gonna speak for myself, but you're not like the other girls in crypto. And I mean this in the most like best genuine way. What are your honest thoughts on the like female crypto girl community? Because
Yeah.
I mean, I know what I think. I'm curious what you think.
I feel like there's a lot of really strong and like super girl women. You know what I mean? Like the girls that will support other women in a very genuine way. But there's also women who will be very competitive in the space because it's a very male-dominated field. There will be a certain type of people who will feel threatened by other women having more attention or having careers and like money or whatever. But I feel like it's very normal. And let me know your thoughts here as well, because it's for me it's pretty difficult to actually make genuine friends. I do have girlfriends like you, like Sophia from Cello, she's amazing. Vasila from Hyperlane, they're so amazing, like crypto girls that are actually super super nice to me, and they were always supporting me. But then of course you will have people who will talk shit about you in your back, and then you're like, oh, but in Twitter you're like spreading the word being like we support women, and then you're talking shit about me, right? So but I just don't get involved in those kind of things. It's not worth my time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm of a similar mindset. It's actually like I found it really hard to like at conferences, even when I go out partying, like there's only so many girls that I just clicked with, and like these girls I'll hold close to my heart forever because I don't know, they're just cool, and usually they're kind of at the intersection of like engineers or product people. I don't know what it is. Is it me? Maybe it's me. I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find your girl tribe. But once you do, it's really nice. But I hear you. There's a lot of like toxicity out there, and I feel like, hey, we're like already outnumbered. Do you really need to push like this? That's not very nice. Like, yeah. So that's the tea.
Yeah, we spilled the tea.
You spilled the tea. I do have my. You know what? I have 2 beverages here today. I don't know if you've noticed.
I forgot. You did mention that I should have something. I don't have anything. I have my Stanley Cup there. But I have just water.
That is totally fine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like get my guests to bring snacks, but then I forget to like bring it up, and I just end up leaving it. It's okay. Yeah, we're like almost at time. I do want to wrap up. What's coming up for you? I mean, I know there's a lot going on. You just joined a new company. You're on a mission, right? But what can people kind of expect to see coming up in your life, or where are you going to be in the next few months?
So people will expect a lot of content in terms of videos. We're building kind of like beginner-friendly content for like people who doesn't really understand the concepts that we're kind of used to as an industry. But for example, I'm writing blog posts and recording videos about like what the fuck is a smart contract? How does that work? There's some things that even crypto people will be like, oh, do I actually know how that works? It will be interesting to see it, right? Because maybe we assume that we know, but maybe we don't. And even me, like the other day I was like researching how wallets work, releasing a lot of things around that. And I was really amazed how little information I had around it. And I was like, okay, I need to learn really deeply about these concepts, but also spread the word. So I'm going to be working on those kind of things and, onboarding developers to Abstract and growing and make it really successful. That's my number one goal.
Hell yeah. Any movements in terms of travel coming up for you? Or are you going to be based in New York for a while?
I think so. I think I don't really want to travel because I've been traveling so much. I want to take a break, but I will definitely go to that. And probably in the winter, I will also go to ski trip. Yes.
Where?
Probably Aspen.
Okay, wow. Amazing. I won't see you at Aspen, but I will see you at DEF CON.
Yes,
Sweet.
that would be really fun.
All right. And then, yeah, I guess in terms of social media, I'm sure everyone's like probably seen you on their Twitter feed, but I'll drop your X and any other content that you put out before this goes live. So
awesome. Thank you so
awesome.
much for inviting me.
No, thank you for being an awesome guest and your hot, spicy takes.
Thank you, Kelly.